off the topic of wrestling for 1 minute, please. I'm pissed off because Drew Lynch didn't fucking win America's Got Talent. He lost to a fucking ventriloquist. I fucking broke my finger and kicked a hole in my wall because Drew Lynch should have won, but instead he got second place to a fucking person who sticks his hand up a puppet's ass. That's me taking out my rage through music. That's not music, just through words, which is hard for me to do. I'm telling you, Drew Lynch should have fucking won America's Got Talent. Shouldn't have been Oz Perlman. It should have been Drew Lynch. But we're not here today to talk about America's Got Talent. No, we're here to talk about wrestling. Yeah, I did kick a hole in my wall, but at first I attempted to punch one. Thanks. It's gonna swell up in the morning. Yay. Anyway, we're not here to excuse me, to talk about wrestling, just wrestling. We're here to talk about Ultimate Showcase Wrestling's Wednesday Night Intensity number 139 from September 16th, 2015, as we are 2 weeks away from Top Rope 2015. I will be right back. This is fucking bullshit. Maybe one day I'll do a review from the couch. That'd be funny. Anyway, now that I've gotten something to drink, this is my review on USW Wednesday Night Intensity number 139 from September 16, 2015. We are 2 weeks away from Ultimate Showcase Wrestling Top Rope 2015. And the show itself, I'm not going to lie, it wasn't very eventful. It's not like the my fucking finger. It's not like the WWE and Raw where, Raw would just be similar for like 2 or 3 weeks in a row leading up to a pay-per-view. No, I mean, at least USW put some effort into their shows and they make it so that way it's not like the one you watched last week or the one you watched the week before that. But they try to be different and they try to be very continuous on that, but it doesn't seem to work out all the time, especially when you book so far ahead that your shows just become, pointless and dull. Excuse me. And the promos and the segments and the hype and the build-up just kind of repeats itself. You don't have like similar matches like excuse me, like 1 week, you'll have on Raw Randy Orton versus Sheamus, and the next week you'll have Randy Orton versus Sheamus. Excuse me. The next week Randy Orton versus Sheamus. No, you would get like Blue Belt Champion Anarchy versus James, and then next week you would get Blue Belt Champion Anarchy versus Prophecy, but James would interfere in some way, or Prophecy's rival would interfere in some way. But at least this is a consistent effort. WWE doesn't make that much of a difference, and this time their consistent effort didn't really prove all positive or effective. Anyway, in the first match of the night, well, we started out with a match. Let me go back in my notes. Last week we started out with a match as well, so it's good to not start out with a Kyle Rees promo or a USW Champion promo or a USW World Heavyweight Champion promo. It's good to start out with a match, and this match, was a 6-man tag team match, and it was the Blackout and Majigeta defeating Western Light Capital and Dwayne Porter. The match was a clusterfuck. It was just a back and forth battle of, I don't even know how to fucking describe it. but it was just chaos and carnage. And I think it was Dwayne Porter who got hit with an acorn into the long fall, which is more painful than it sounds. But the blackout pin Dwayne Porter to win the match for themselves and Majigeta. And afterwards, Majigeta hit a double decapitator on the blackout, his tag team partners, before scurrying out of the ring as the last man standing out of all of it. So Majigeta immediately turns his back on whoever was on his side and I guess tries to make an enemy out of them. And this really doesn't do much because later on the show, you don't see the blackout confront Majigeta. You don't see the blackout, attack Majigeta or get revenge on Majigeta. Excuse me. So the thing was less sensible. No, not sensible. It made less sense and more idiocy out of this whole Majigeta going on his own thing. I mean, at least have Majigeta be accidentally be blindsided by the blackout and then hit a double decapitator on them. At least give him a reason to defend himself instead of just having him turn his back on the only other two people on his team. And now, since you did that, and we don't have anything between the blackout and Majigeta, there was really no reason for that. So it was just a pointless piece of shit. Oh well. Anyway, we go into the next whatever. It's a segment. It's a promo. So it's the first segment of the night. As the Martin brothers appearing on the Motiontron, telling everyone that they have plans in mind. And it's not just to take the USW Championship away from Alexander Rotten, but it's also a full-on assault on the entire roster to leave them on notice. That the Martin brothers were a dominant tag team, will become dominant world champions, and will run the house. That's fine. Excuse me. And that's all I picked up from that. Then we go into the second match. We go into the second match, which is James versus the Blue Belt champion Anarchy. Anarchy and James always have great matches, and Anarchy's powerhouse with technique background fits in perfectly with James's high flying background. It just matches up perfectly for some reason. Anarchy is kind of like everybody knows that. I always came up with I always thought of feuds and storylines as, all right, so this is like, or in this feud, he seems like the color red. He seems like the color blue. Those mix well together. Excuse me. Let's see where this goes from here. I think of Anarchy as blue, and I think of James as green in this situation. Usually I think of him as a blue, but Anarchy's taking over the color of blue here, and I'm going to take James as the color of green. And with me, blue and green always matches up into something underrated, yet turns out to be spectacular in the end. Whether it's a match or whether it's a feud. And this match was great. James had a bunch of spots. He flew over, or he flew through the middle rope onto Anarchy before what do you call it? Front diving, front flipping. I don't know. Front back rolling. I don't know. Onto his feet, hopped up onto the announcer's table, and hit his signature symbol. He used to do this. I always do this, but he does this now as a symbol of a J for James. Like I did this for Enigma. That makes more sense for you, I think. Anyway, the match went on and on and on. And at one point in time, Anarchy was, James tossed him out of the ring. He got up. He was contemplating, should I just leave? Have I had enough? And I just want to, stay well, not get hurt, not have to suffer any more assault from James, or not have to suffer a clean loss. Maybe I can just get myself counted out. But then, of course, he walked back in, and even though Anarchy is a heel, he still kind of shows those face tendencies, which isn't necessarily bad, and as much as it brings great character to his heel persona, it still kind of makes very little sense. You know, he turned heel because he attacked somebody behind their back when they didn't do anything to deserve it. So it's kind of like he stabbed a man in the back. However, now he shows tendencies of, oh well, I'm a good heel. You know, I'm a respectful heel. So it doesn't necessarily make sense. But I liked the storytelling of it. And as James went up for a moonsault, I believe, he missed. Of course, Anarchy moved out of the way. James kind of kneed back onto his feet and got hit with the chaos. 1, 2, 3. Anarchy wins. Blue belt champion Anarchy beats James, and afterwards gets the microphone. As soon as he gets the microphone, turns around to address the crowd, spear right from Titanfall into the gut of Anarchy. The blue belt title goes flying over the top rope and outside the ring, which just showed how much power Titanfall showed in that, or Titanfall put in that spear, and how well Anarchy was able to sell that spear, because it was a pretty fucking awesome spear. And then afterwards got hit with a neck fall, and then Titanfall left the ring with the Anarchy upset. So obviously afterwards, Anarchy left the ring, grabbed his title belt, and just walked away. And then we go into our third match. No segment in between. That's fine. Get to our third match. We've only had one segment in the night. We get Philip and Zach Painter, the Painters from the Ferocity roster. Frosty is now dead. And they defeated Indigo Reaction. The match was fine. Of course, the Painters, they're very amateur compared to Indigo Reaction. Sorry. Chain Reaction always has been a great powerhouse, and Indigo Reaction, or I'm sorry, Indigo Child has always been a great technical high-flying performer. And the Painters, Philip and Zach Painter, are pretty much just technical wrestlers. You know, Philip Painter is a more lean, tall type of technical wrestler, which is usually assisted with a powerhouse and or submission specialist. And Zach Painter is more like a, I guess, an average-sized, average-heighted individual who would more like be considered a high flyer or even just a technical wrestler itself. But they really didn't match all that well with the powerhouse and high flying techniques or move sets or aerial offense at all. But they did pick up the win over Indigo Reaction. The match was all right. Indigo Reaction really did all that they could to pull the match in the way that they wanted it to be pulled, but the Painters kind of resisted uninvoluntarily, or involuntarily. I don't see the Painters being ready to be on the intensity roster. I'm sorry, I just don't. I know that they decided, you know what, the Frosty shows aren't doing too well. Let's just go back to having our developmental roster be off television and have them just practice in an open environment with a couple of people in the crowd, learn to get a stage presence, learn to get a presence on the microphone, learn to gain in-ring ability, and that's what's going to be great. You know, part of the things that make a Ferocity performer great is training. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry. And of course, practice. And I mean, there was many failures in Frosty. Haven was one of them. But then, hey, you know what? Haven's coming back. He's got a whole new character change. He's no longer Haven. He's Mika Jordan. And Mika Jordan's looking impressive. So there's a change. That's something interesting. That's something intriguing. And then you have, of course, other Frosty performers who look very impressive, like Kevin Storm, like Xavier King, like Austin Atomic, like Otis Crane, like Jake Porter. And then you have other, guys who need some practice, like Argo, like let's see, Argo, Quinn Tyler, Randy Mist, Ryler Coffin, not Samuel North, Surfin Tanner, Tempter, Unity, Vortex. Weiler's one of those great performers now. I'm sorry if you can't see me if I'm off screen. Drake Tyler, Darren Holt, Carson, Clyde is one of those great performers. Hell, I'll even go as far as saying that the Northern Lights are great performers, but the Painters aren't great. I mean, it's one thing to have a tag team be brought up to intensity to replenish the tag team division, but if it's not a good tag team, then what's the whole difference that it makes? If you can't have a good tag team that can be a believable contender for the tag team titles, for the biggest prize in the tag team division, then why bother having them there? That's just my opinion. But anyway, there were so many great moments. Well, not so many great moments. I don't know why I always say that's like the first thing that comes to my mind because I'm so used to having great moments in even regular matches. But there were a couple great moments. Or all right moments. Chain reactions, power bomb into Indigo Child's what a DDT or a neck breaker or something like that. That should be like a match ender. And would have been had Philip Painter not gotten involved and broken up the pin. And it all ended with the oil painting on Indigo Child for the win. 1, 2, 3. Phillips and Zach Painter win. I don't see what the direction for the Painters is going into, and I don't see what Indigo Reaction is going to do now. Most of the times when you have like a pay-per-view match and you got a tag team match, other than the tag team title match, it just seems like it's not necessarily a tag team match, as in like, oh, two performers like Zach Hardy and Mika Jordan because they're in a feud against Majigeta and Otis Crane because they're in a feud. That's different. But when you have like established tag teams like Indigo Reaction or Gringo and Fernandez feuding and having a match against each other, it's kind of been a failure. It's been very underrated, but then again, at times it's been very underlooked. So anyway, I don't see what Indigo Reaction is going to do next. I mean, they're just pretty much jobbing out to the new talent to make new stars, which is just not helping. Whatever. What can you do about it? Then we get our second segment of the night. Oh, wait a minute. I completely forgot about what happened after the Painters and the Indigo Reaction. I may have just... Well, I don't know. We'll still have to see what happens after this. But I may actually have to retract my entire statement about I don't see Indigo Reaction doing anything. If you see me looking over this way, it's because I have a monitor with this screen on here, so I can read it from here while also reading it from here and looking into the camera. Afterwards, the Painters help Indigo Reaction to their feet before getting assaulted by them, which leads to the Painters escaping and Indigo Reaction turning heel. Again, interesting. But I don't see this being a feud that works. If this is going to be a feud, it's going to lead up to a pay-per-view match, and this is not going to be for the tag team title, so it's going to be very underlooked and very underrated. So, whatever. I guess now we can expect Indigo Reaction versus the Painters. Ugh, this match again. Please tell me this is going to be like Sheamus and Randy Orton, or it's just going to be a match we can sleep through, or take a bathroom break the entire time, take a 15, 20-minute shit, and come back and just get to the end of the match. Anyway, then we get our second promo, or second segment, and it is Alexander Rotten responding to the Martin Brothers' threat on the roster and on him and on his United States. Why do I always mix up? Whenever I call the United States Championship, or I try to call it the United States Championship by its name, I always say the USW Championship. And whenever I say the USW Championship, I always say the United States Championship. I'm fucking stupid. Anyway, Alexander Rotten responds to the Martin brothers a threat on all of such by telling them that no matter what they had planned, and even though he doesn't like 99.9% of the performers on the roster, he would not let anything hurt his competition. So, for example, his competition includes Dwayne Porter, Western Light, Lane, Lone Wolf, the Martin brothers. Is that all he's had for competition? I mean, I get he hasn't faced like the big performers yet, like Cannon or Majigeta or Western Light. Well, he's faced Western Light or Yo-Yo Joe. Where did Yo-Yo Joe go? How? Anyway, and he hasn't faced me. He hasn't faced Derek Carter, but Derek Carter's injured. Uh, I think that's the first time I brought up the name Derek Carter since hmm, since my first USW review, which was like just a result planner. It was like Chase was out sick. Chase is not the CH word. Uh, so yeah, I said the CH word. But he was out sick, and I guess Derek Carter had a match with me or something. So I just read off the results as a form of the intensity review. Funny. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I still haven't gotten rid of that fucking fly. Anyway, Alexander Rotten's competition, even though it's lacking right now, all performers on the roster are technically his kind of are technically his competition. So he doesn't want to have his competition hurt by. Fuck it, I'm getting off of this segment. I am tired as shit, and my hand hurts, and I'm out of it. Anyway, fourth match. Whew. Weiler's Intensity roster debut. Ah, my fucking hand. Weiler beats Greyhound via submission with the stretch throat. Then gets a microphone, has the crew lower the lights, sits in a steel chair or chair before putting Zach Hardy's accomplishments and goals down, questioning if Zach Hardy is really all worth it. Yes, again, I am referring to myself in the third person. Fucking deal with it. Leading to Zach Hardy running out as the two brawl all over the ring and the ringside areas, leading to Weiler hitting Hardy in the skull with a chair, causing him to doze in and out of consciousness, then beating him down with the chair even more before posing with Hardy on the ground as a way of an insult. So, long story short, Weiler kicked my ass. I got my ass beat by Weiler. It doesn't show because we filmed this episode and every episode leading up to Top Rope like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, you want spoilers? Go look it up on the internet. But yeah, Weiler beat the shit out of me, and then as a way of insult, putting injury to insult, or insult to injury, putting an insult to injury, posed with me just unconscious or whatever, on the ground with a steel chair underneath my face. I'm still going live, okay. I'm fine with that. And then we get a segment. I'm sorry, I just looked at the rest of the show, and oh my gosh, I want to shoot myself in the face. Then we get into the fourth map. I'm sorry, the fucking, third segment? Which is Martin Rees visiting his brother Kyle Rees. Martin Rees was the general manager of Ferocity, and he's also Martin Rees is Kyle Rees' brother. Kyle Rees, of course, runs Ultimate Showcase Wrestling. He's the chairman, he's the investor, he's the owner, he's the founder, and all that shit. Martin Rees is one of those stockholders. He's one who is also like if Kyle Rees were to die in like a tragic shooting or whatever, or assault or assassination or whatever, I don't know, murder, then Martin Rees would be the next person to fill his shoes. So Martin Rees would be the owner of USW and so on and so forth. But Martin Rees now takes the role of the Ferocity roster's leader. And I'm sorry, I got a runny nose. Martin Rees visits Kyle Rees, telling him that there are a few performers on the Intensity roster that he wants to have a shot on the show. Kyle Rees requests that he meet them, and then Martin Rees agreed and told him that he will bring the performers by the end of the night. Which leads us to our fifth match and our main event. Why are we still doing this shit? I was so excited for this whole weekly airing, and then it all went to shit. Excuse me. Main event, to close out the show, Dustin Raymond's Open Challenge. George Martin with Alex Martin. I keep thinking Alexander Martin. Defeated Dustin Raymond with a super kick via pinfall. And afterwards, Alexander Rodden, Hernastley, and USW champion Alexander Rodden, Extreme champion Hernastley, and Amore run down and attack the Martin brothers before Crimson Red then runs down with a chair, starts beating down the trio before giving the chair to the Martin brothers and letting them pick apart their rivals, leading to Crimson Red turning heel and siding with the Martin brothers, while also turning Alexander Rodden, Hernastley, and Amore face. Oh my gosh, shoot me in the fucking eyelid, please. Excuse me. As if this wasn't bad, let me read you the rest of the fucking show. We go into another promo, our second promo of 3. We have an interview with Elza Rankills and Benny Franklin about the Northern Lights, which then leads to our third and final promo, which I'm being serious here. I'm not even being over dramatic. This could fucking kill USW. This could put us out of business. These angles have never worked, whether it be WCW, ECW, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, fucking Stardom Wrestling, for crying out loud. Kyle Rees is introduced to Xavier King, Austin Atomic, Jake Porter, Otis Crane, and Clyde. Then joined by Kevin Storm, after which Storm enters. They all attack Kyle Rees, giving Kevin Storm the chance to hit the inclement weather on Kyle Rees through his desk to end the show. I must be in hell. I must fucking be in hell. Hell must have frozen over. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a WCW versus NWO here. We've got an NWO. We've got a WCW and ECW versus WWE here. We've got an ECW versus WWE here. We've got Team GFW versus Team TNA here. We've got Team Nexus versus Team WWE here. You're kidding me. Please, you're kidding me. Please. Guys. USW is in an invasion angle. Think of all the invasion angles. Just to name a few. As I mentioned before, WCW versus NWO and WCW. ECW versus WWE. Nexus versus WWE. How many of them ended well? Here's the most recent one out of those 3. Team Nexus versus Team WWE. Wade Barrett led a group of rookies, the Nexus, into attacking John Cena, the top guy in WWE, and everybody else in WWE. Fight at SummerSlam, John Cena beats them. The Nexus fall into obscurity. Bunch of lineup changes. CM Punk then becomes the new leader, kicks a bunch of people out of the Nexus for being pussies, I guess. And then those people form the core. Then we have the Nexus versus the core, and then the whole thing goes away when the core dissolves and CM Punk wins the WWE title and the Nexus dissolves. Guys, no, 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 no. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. I don't know what you're thinking here. I mean, this review is either going to go one of two ways in the future. Either I'm going to look back in this and say, wow, I was an idiot to think that. Well, no, I was really wrong about that. Or I'm going to look back at that and say, yep, that's why USW doesn't stand to this day. What is the point of this? Why are we doing an invasion angle? I see this as like a perfect timing to bring the Frosty roster into there and be and have something be interesting and maybe catch a few headlines online or on the news or whatever. But seriously, what the fuck does an invasion angle do? And not to mention Alexander Ron Hernasli and Amor now fighting against Crimson Red and the Martin brothers. I think it's interesting. I won't lie. I mean, most invasion angles are interesting, even after a while. At first, they're very interesting. After a while, they're kind of interesting as long as you're booking them right. But, I mean, that depends on what invasion angle it is. But, I mean, you look at it, and you look back at those key parts in the show. The Martin brothers planning a full-scale assault on the Intensity roster. Wilder versus Zach Hardy. Wilder was a product of Frosty. Zach Hardy, product of USW. The Painters, product of Ferocity. Indigo Reaction, a product of USW. You gotta be fucking kidding me, man. This entire show was based off of Majigetta, the Blackout, Capital, Dwayne Porter, and Western Light, Anarchy, the Blue Belt title picture, Painters and Indigo Reaction, Wilder and Zach Hardy, the New Invasion, and the USW Championship picture. No mention of the World title picture. No mention of the Extreme Championship picture. No mention of the USW Tag Team Championship picture other than like the 2.5 minutes that Ezra Kills and Benny Franklin got. No mention of the International Championship picture. Ash wasn't even on the fucking show. I'm done with this shit. This is stupid. That's it. Not even gonna get into Ezra Kills and Benny Franklin versus the Northern Lights. I've already said my piece on the invasion angle. I already told you this whole ending segment to Alexander Rotten, or with Alexander Rotten, Hernasli, and Amor, the Martin Brothers and Crimson Red was stupid, pointless. It's... I mean... Where's my fucking card? What? the fuck did I write this information down? I know I have it somewhere. I write my own fucking cards here. I always keep a piece of paper with the matches going into a USW pay-per-view. I always keep it with me. Alright, screw it. You know what? Screw it. I don't know. Guys, what do we have booked up for Top Rope? Alright, so we got 3-ways match for the USW Championship. Martin Brothers versus Alexander Rotten. Or Alex Martin versus George Martin versus Alexander Rotten for the USW Championship. Okay. Pleasing to the eye. World Heavyweight Championship. Prophecy versus Justin Raymond. Okay. Should be a good match. International Championship. What about it? Blue Belt Championship. Anarchy versus Titanfall. Okay. USW Tag Team Championship. Ezra Hills and Benny Franklin versus the Northern Lights. The Frosty, or former Frosty Tag Team Champions. Zach Hardy versus Weiler. That's pleasing to the eye. Even to my eye. Too slow. Indigo Reaction and the Painters. Okay. Don't we have Washington and Morbid? Do we have Washington and Morbid? I don't fucking know. Go back in my notes here. Yeah, we have Washington and Morbid. Washington and Morbid weren't even featured on the fucking card. What the fuck? Alright, you know what? I'm done with this show. This was stupid. Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, you know what, guys? I think this is the first F that I'm giving in intensity. I mean, Weiler and Zach Hardy, hell, I even put myself on a pedestal. I think Weiler and Zach Hardy was the only interesting thing to come from the show, other than the match between Anarchy and James. Other than that, everything else was shit. Sorry, excuse me. Everything else was shit or pointless or dull or bullshit. I don't fucking know. Excuse me. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is my review of Wednesday Night Intensity number 139 from September 16, 2015. 2 weeks away from Top Rope 2015. Yay. You guys watching. I hope you enjoy. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. I'm Zach Hardy. Signing out.